Hey.
Hi.
How's your meeting with Jeremy?
Fine.
Oh, great.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I really like antagonists, and I really like the ideas of where like evil comes from. It's just like the idea of like, is it an innate thing that we all have? Is it just part of your genetics, or is it something that's a victim of your surroundings? And I was exploring those kind of ideas, and I just wanted to have a shred of sympathy for the worst person ever. And then I'm like, okay, and I had that idea, and I came up with the character Jack, and I kind of worked, just like reverse engineered where he would come from. And then eventually He Never Died came about. And then I always had him in mind for the visual and the holy trinity of mind, body, soul he seemed to encapsulate, because you're just so evil.
So, you and Jeremy meet often?
Sometimes.
Oh, yeah? Well, we're looking for him. So maybe you should join us for a ride.
I'm okay.
Yeah. You know what? That's not really an option.
We talked to our casting agent, Adrian Stern, and she gave us a nice long list of really talented actors that could have did the role well. But I'm like, hey, just for solidarity, even though he doesn't know it exists, put Henry Rollins on there. And she's like, sure, right on. And then she sent it to him, and then you got back a day later, which is like unprecedented.
Yeah, it came into our office.
Yeah.
And it was sent to me with the instructions, read this right now. It's really cool. And I read it, and I said, man, I'd love this. Conveniently, he was in New York. I was in New York doing shows. I met him the next day. I said, I love your script. I want to do this. I'm in. I'm so in. I leapt at it. And rarely am I given the opportunity, like, hey, we want you for this, we wrote it for you, let's go. I stand in line, I do auditions, I do that, that's fine. But this was rare, and I leapt at it so fast and so hard, there was no hesitation, like, I want to do this, I want to start tomorrow. Like, I was like, this is so cool. And I've read a lot of scripts, as you do, in this business, and you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'll be in it, I like to work. But this was like, I have to do this. And rarely on that level, you know, indie budget films, you know, you get a cool idea, they rarely get made, because you just can't get a bunch of people to go, here's a pretty big amount of money. If you're Spielberg, $1 million is like, you know, change. Right. But in our world, that's like, it happened. Are you kidding? Yeah. And to get that kind of money is not easy. And the fact that his people did it.
Zach Hagen, yeah.
It's a bit of a miracle. And all of a sudden, I'm up in Toronto, and we're working. I'm like, this is happening. Because, you know, it was a year of like, man, I hope this happens. And there we were.
Kate Greenhouse is a native, who played Kara, is a native Torontonian. She was like, when are we doing that like long, like 5-page, one-take shot that's like impossible? When is that happening? I'm like, oh, that's going to happen on Queen Street. I don't know what that is. And she's like, oh my God, what were you even saying? Because that's like your version of like Williamsburg. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
And we had the locals like came into the shot.
Yeah, there's really? A lot of that, yeah.
You know, take two.
What's going on? Is that Henry?
Yeah, we had a car drive by. Henry! Cut, back to one. Don't freeze to death. I mean, you know how cold it gets there. Yeah. And the actors have to stay kind of jacket. Everyone else looks like Nanook of the North, like eight layers, like, woo, woo. And meanwhile, we're like, get your shot.
Don't.
I love the fact that he was bored. You know, you think, I live forever. Every day is going to be awesome. Not for this guy. Every day is like TV. He's clinically depressed. Can't get out of bed, watches TV, he avoids people. It's hilarious to me. For me, that kind of thing's funny. Like, you know, bingo, like distraction. The diner, the TV. And like, he's in this marvelous, awful circumstance. I just laughed my ass off reading it. And the way he takes people out. You're like, I'm going to kill you. No, you're not, actually. Here's a gun. And he's like, just over everything, which some mornings I get up and I am that guy. Like, hey, something good's happening. Put it under my pillow. I'll smoke it in the morning. I just don't want to know. And so I saw a lot of myself in this guy, not eating people or whatever, but just like, which we all have a bit of. Like,
Yeah.
you just have those days. You have a bad hair day, but it takes over your DNA, and he's put in some predicaments. And you see Jack have to wit his way out and be inconvenienced. And it's kind of fun.
I think one of the ideas was like, you know, when you worked a 14-hour day and then you just get a call that you have to go in tomorrow at the same time, and then next day you don't really care anymore. You just don't care what happens to anything. Like, that's just what he's like all the time.
Jack lives in a world that's soft in his estimation, because he's lived in times of plague and wars that killed 1,000 people in half an hour. Like, parts of the Civil War were just ghastly. World War I, you can't bulldoze the bodies out of the way. They died so fast. And who knows, maybe Jack had quite a life in World War I. He's seen enough war. And so by the time he gets to contemporary Earth, he's a jaded, sickened, over post-life person. That's what I was trying to sell. But there's these analog moments. He's got a daughter, so he liked a woman at some point. She's kind of wonderfully cynical. Like, so what? Are we supposed to like have some bonding or something? You see him distinctly uncomfortable for a minute there. He said, Dad, like, wow, we're going to have to talk about daughter stuff. Oh, get me out of this. And so there's these moments, again, he has to underplay it. So there's like little moments of agony, like, oh no, a daughter. Oh no. But you can't overdo it because it looks 10 miles wide on a screen. And there's like the moment where I take her out to lunch and Kara goes, oh, so who's your friend? It's my daughter. Like, you have a daughter? That's so great. I'm like, yeah, great. You two get a room. I'm just like, I just zone out because they're like best friends. And I'm like, help me.
One of the things that he brought to the table that I wasn't ready for at all was just the vulnerability of Jack. Just the fact that he was broken. He was a broken man. So a lot of people read that thing like the person who read and the audition tape behind the camera just read this like Bruce Willis-y stoic, like, everything's cool, whatever. And then he reads it at a slower pace, just like, oh, this guy's, there's so much going on behind the eyes. He's so damaged. He wants to just not be around anymore, but he can't help that. And that really blew me away. And that is what makes a horrible character redeeming in a way.
No matter what I show for, and I've been in films where I'm like, okay, like, I don't love this, but I'm going to show up and you won't be able to tell I don't love it. So I give everything I have to anything I do like that. Because I'm not cynical like that. If we're going to make a corny movie, but let's make it great as we can. But with this particular film, me and the part, I felt so hand in glove. The fact that I'm the lead guy in it didn't make me want to work harder. I knocked myself out to go get you dinner. Believe me, I'm just that guy. But there's just something about how close it was, how closely it adhered to me, that I said, I'm going to kill myself making this film. I'm just going to go as hard as I can, but harder, and see where that takes me. And you can achieve that only when you have good people around you, good director who trusts you, and good other actors around you, so you can throw the hardest hard ball, the fastest fat ball, and not have them go, ow, have them go, I got it. That was Kate. There's nothing you can lay on Kate Greenhouse where she's not like, I got that, check this out. And she comes back, you're like, oh, okay. Everything was right. I got along with Jason. I got along with Zach. I got along with the part. I got along with all the other actors. This was like, man, let's just make this like the best damn thing ever. And I committed to every moment of it. Like at the end of the thing, we finally wrapped out. My weekend is like aspirin, and I'm too old for this. And the stunt scenes were painful. You practice all those things. You still get knocked around. And there's one scene where the other actor kept landing on my foot. He couldn't help it. It's where gravity took him. And I knew at the end of every scene there's going to be like his knee on the flat of my right foot. Like, here it comes. Smash! And I was like, and it was like, take 4. I'm like, oh. So
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. God, is this how we were positioned? Your craft quarters, what are you going to do? He didn't mean it. But I thought I had pulled stuff out of me that I'd never gotten out of me in any other film. And I think that's good direction, great writing, and just finding yourself in a good part. where you get a part like that, you don't want to ever stop acting. Like, you're like, can we have 20 more days like that? I don't want to leave this.
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now, which is, you know, how many men have told you they like that movie? I've watched it well over 30 times. I've deconstructed it. I've lived in the mind of Kurtz. I've lived in the mind of Willard. I've had the idea that Willard is my dad and Kurtz is my enemy. I've had the idea that Kurtz is the only real sane person in the whole thing and Willard is a lightweight who should be taken out. And I've gone through that movie in my head. The first time I ever got to Saigon, I sat in a hotel room and said, Saigon. Shit.
Charlie doesn't
Still only in Saigon. I did that into a tape recorder. I have that. And so that is one of those films that has grown with me since I saw it first run in the 70s and walked out with Ian MacKay. And we walked home in silence, not knowing what had just been done to us.